The live stream of tonight's podcast is made possible by our buddy Ian Service over at podcastaccelerator.com.
Hey everybody, Trace from the Takeover team here again. Tonight we continue our series spotlighting each of the hosts of the produce stand. Now, if Squirrely Matt didn't exist, you'd have to invent him. Beneath the surface of devoted husband and father of three Matt Belanger, there lies a modern-day Renaissance man. The burgeoning snowboard pro is also a bike-flipping whiskey aficionado with a penchant for deck erecting and ball cap collecting. The Takeover team is, of course, back to put Matty Boom Batty in the hot seat. Let's see what the Discord group's favorite Funkle has to say when Kacey starts asking the tough and hard-hitting questions. It is Matt, though, so probably a lot. This is Behind the Produce Stand. Matt Belanger.
Not Belanger. Not Belanger. Belanger.
Well played.
Fresh produce stand there. That's a beauty.
What do you listen to?
My favorite murder podcast.
Taggart and Torrance podcast.
The produce stand.
Fucking sexy.
It's 420 and Thursday, and that means you're hanging out with us at the Produce Stand, a podcast celebrating everything in the universe. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are plenty of other Letterkenny podcasts out there, but this one is on the potent peace pipe. I'm Kacey, and joining me in the Zoom tonight, a guy knows a whole lot of nothing about a lot. He's Canadian, he's a parent, he's the dude north, and co-host of the Produce Stand pod. Please make some noise for Squirrely Matt.
Wondrous.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I regret nothing.
That never gets old.
It's so, I know Al said it last week or whenever he did his, that it's weird being on the other end of it.
Getting a unicorn, getting unicorned.
Yeah, just that, yeah. And but thank you for those intros. And Trace, man, he reached out to me and he was gonna let me in on what he was doing. I said, no, I want to take it in. And dude, that was amazing. So thank you so much. Great? It was so much fun.
So welcome to your podcast.
Thank you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. And tonight, behind the produce stand, we're going to ask all the questions. But since the entire episode is a big fat how are you now, we're going to do some housekeeping first. So we're going to jump right in. Grab your drinks or your electric lettuce or diabolical coffee.
Hey there. Wait, what are we doing again?
The sponsor read.
Oh, okay. Wait, we have a sponsor?
Yes, it's Eric.
Oh, I know Eric. He's a good guy.
I know.
Did you know he sells coffee?
Yes, of course
I think it's called Diabolical coffee.
Can we just...
It's devilishly good coffee.
You don't say.
He also sells diabolically awesome swag.
Terrific.
He's got a roast for all tastes.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can order whole bean, coarse, standard grind, and espresso.
It's espresso, but whatever.
Hey, don't you and Tanya use K-Cups?
You know we do.
I think he has those too.
Wonderful.
Imagine if we could use promo code like Produce Stand to get 10% off coffee or merch from his store.
Yes, that would be cool.
Wait a minute. I just had a brilliant idea.
What's that?
We should get Diabolical Coffee to sponsor the podcast.
We should?
Yes. Why have we never thought of that before?
I give up.
I thought we were going to escape Victor tonight, but apparently not. Thank you, Eric, for always supporting the pod, despite the fact that every now and then the Takeover team hijacks it. And thank you for everybody on Twitter who's following us and, hopefully listening, but Twitter's a cult.
Previously on Letterkenny.
Yeah, last week. No, it wasn't Mike and Liz. Was it? Yes, no, it was. I gotta trust myself with my script.
Tannis, yeah.
Mike and Liz kicked out their best Tannis scenes.
It was awesome.
Al's done this before, hasn't he? Where he doesn't trust his own script.
He usually doesn't update his script. So I think he wings a lot of it as he goes along.
Okay, well, I'm still a chicken. I'm still learning. Amazing Tannis scenes last week, and I didn't even care that it was the same for number one. Like that's a deserving number one.
No, it was a solid list all around. I mean, you forget about some of these moments. Like I know a lot of you guys watch the show like 1,000 times, and I love it. I don't have the time, so I've watched it a number of times. But going back and getting those moments just takes me right back into those episodes. And
oh yeah,
such some epic moments.
Yeah, totally. And I think Tanis is the best.
Well, happy 420 case.
Dude. Happy 420.
Happy 420.
I did 0 celebrating today up until like 20 minutes before we got on. So
yeah, why not? It's the evening rush. You get it in.
Well, it's gummies. So I'm okay now.
All right. So we better this interview
about
turned on us really quickly.
Yeah. So for everybody watching at home, get your 420 cards out, your bingo cards, and I don't know what you've got on them, but somebody come up with something quick.
How many questions in does Kacey start missing a beat?
Right. Yeah. No, already missing a beat. So we are we've got our 7 paper cannons. Get your 7 paper cannons and get behind the produce stand with Matt and I. Here we go, Matt. So tell me about yourself.
That generic guy. That is a really loaded question.
So what I'm most curious about is,
there you go. That's a good
how did you find yourself encountering Al for the first time? Like when the first day that you met Al, the very first time.
Oh God, I don't even remember the first time.
Come on.
No, 100% I don't. I doubt he does either. It was probably, so we have worked together for years, but have always worked in very different areas of the organization. So he was in the learning area. I was it Toastmasters? He's getting me checked out. I didn't think it was Toastmasters. Apparently we met at Toastmasters. Fuck him making me look like a dick and remembering. But anyways,
nobody would have known if you hadn't said anything because it's in the Zoom chat, but nobody would have known. Nobody cares.
I know. Al's
nobody cares.
razzing me in the background of this episode. I don't know how I feel about it. I was able to hide his little icon, so I didn't think he was there, but he keeps popping up saying Al says this.
Just minimize the chat.
I don't know how to do that. Anyways,
anywho.
we worked in very different areas of the organization, and then I guess Toastmasters is what started our friendship. And I remember joining lunches and things like that with a lot of other people from the learning department, and just got along with everyone there. I didn't have a close knit group within my own department, for no particular reason, but I just really liked all these learning people, and Al was one of them. And so we spent a lot of time at lunches, playing cards, foosball, all that shit. And then, as he mentioned, we did the podcast for a bit there at work, and it was just on our lunch hours. We talked about whatever. It didn't matter, whatever. It was kind of like an extended version of how was your week, right? And all kinds of topics would come up. And that was fun. And then we I think we aired a few of them, and then we realized that we shouldn't really be doing that because we were technically doing it at work. And so we just shifted it to more of a private audio thing. Just be responsible.
We realized what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so we stopped.
And in all fairness, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were just having some fun with some colleagues.
Yeah, sure.
But we just played on the side of caution and stopped doing that. And then, we've just been friends since. I've been to a few of his shows. We partied out a few times. Just a great dude.
So you and I have similar interests in broadcasting and podcasting and voice work. And what were your first experiences in media? Like, when did you know that you had your voice?
Okay, very different question. Those are
different questions.
Those are two different things.
They are, but I want to know that one first.
Which one? The voice or the media?
Mm-hmm. Your voice.
But they're tied.
Okay, go on.
So this is why I say and I think Al mentions a bit about himself. He wasn't as open about things. I used to be the shyest person you could possibly imagine when I was younger.
Okay.
And once I knew you, I was good, but if you brought me into a group and I wouldn't say a word, I would just be so shy. I'd be very reserved. I had no confidence when I was younger. But I knew I had some potential deep down, but didn't really do anything because I was too nervous to take any leaps. So that's why I say it's two different things, because I did realize at one point I wanted to get into something to do with media. So I went to even back to grade 11 or 12. I think it was 12. Had a co-op at a local, and I did it at a local television station. And we had to put in whatever X number of hours to get our semester credits and whatnot. And I probably did 6 times the amount of hours I needed to do because I loved it. I went every day, first thing in the morning. I was a cameraman and editor for this local station. So it was like an old camera at the time, straight cut editing, the old editing machines. It was awesome. And I loved it. It was all news stuff, but they let me, even as a kid, do anything I wanted. So I was doing every story they'd throw at me. It was so much fun. So that's where my first passion for it came, and then went to school for it. And again, loved it as well. But, I was a bit of a partier, so grades weren't always great. But I made it through, and was trying to work my way into the industry, and it just didn't work out for me early on. And I also, again, was still kind of shy in these kind of settings. So if you said go out and find a job, I would have been like, I don't know how to do that, and was really nervous to do so. Interviews scared the shit out of me. So I didn't quite find my footing in media as I would have liked to have. And then, of course, it's one of those industries, as soon as you step away, you're instant. It's like buying a new computer. The newer one's already behind the shelf. So the longer you are away from it, the harder it is to get back in. Priorities began to change. Moved into the city. Was with my ex. First child was on the way. Like, things get away from you, right? And then and I needed a career, so that changed. So even at my career, where the job I'm at now, I've been there for almost 16 years, and I didn't have much of a voice. In the early years, I would just do my job, but I was very quiet. But then I started putting myself out there and realizing that I had something to say, and people were listening even at work. So I started pushing myself out of my comfort zone into other areas of the organization. Started off in our risk team, financial team, a credit team, a few others. I was a team lead for a while. And then as I got deeper in, I started finding more things I was really passionate about. And Toastmasters came along, of course, and my voice began to really grow. My confidence in all these settings really grew. So there was no media at that time. And then actually it was Al, who has been fortunate enough to bring me into his little world, and what he's grown at the company through learning and whatnot, got me back introduced to it. So it wasn't a lot, but he'd say, hey, I'm setting up some lights for something. I know you did this. Do you want to come help?
Yeah.
Right. So he started inviting me out to all these things, which ultimately led to the podcast, and one thing led to another. And even though I've stepped way away from media, this has given me an opportunity to step back in and actually find a voice now that I didn't know I had prior to. So my voice came way later. I was very not so confident, much quieter for years and years. And the things I wish I knew now then might have been very different, but it is what it is. So that's why I answered that way, because it's kind of a story.
Really glad you did. So what was the point? The turning point for you at work? You mentioned that you found your voice, or you realized you had something to say, you just said. Can you talk about what that shift was? Because I was going to ask how much Toastmasters played in, but your story, you had a turning point before Toastmasters. So I'm interested to hear about that.
No, fair enough. And I was pretty, I don't know, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I was pretty naturally good at Toastmasters. I didn't have to put a ton of work into delivering my speeches. I could create a rough framework, and then I just ad lib most of it, and they usually came out quite well. But yeah, prior to that, I was getting more exposure through my job. Like my jobs, as they were progressing, I was finding myself having more conversations with leadership, and early on, they'd scare the shit out of me. But I realized after time, my mentality around everything changed. Like, people are all just people trying to do a job. You can't really see that things. Like, even my thinking around like an interview. A lot of people get very nervous of interviews, but I actually love interviews, because I'm the one of those people. It's going to go just as much as you're checking me out, I'm checking you out. And if I don't feel this is right for me, then it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I don't care how awesome you think I am or what I could bring, if it's not going to work for me. So it's a two-way streak in something like an interview. So once my mentality on some of these things changed, speaking became much easier, because I wasn't so nervous about, oh God, this person's here, I'm talking to this person. Like, I'm just talking to people, right? And and then so that, it was kind of like mid-career there. And then everything forward has been me validating some of the things I say when they actually, they turn into something good. And I changed a lot of my work mantras. Like, I try to strive to drive positive change. So as long as my job is somehow in my head, right or wrong, interpreting what I'm doing as a positive change, it's much easier for me to get behind and be good at.
Oh, there's so much. There's so much I want to ask you about in the last 15 seconds of what you just said. It's interesting, the interview as an art form. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think we watch people like, and Al jokes about it, but it's quite a throat clenching comparison, like Barbara Walters or Joan Rivers or Arsenio Hall or Jay Leno, or there's like a spectrum of people and interview styles. But like, what do you think it is that they all have in common? Like, what do you think is the thread of good interviewing?
Oh God. And I don't think I'm a good interviewer. So that's a hard one for me to say.
Wait. Why don't you think you're a good interviewer?
Why don't I?
Yeah. Like, could you make a case as to why you're not a good interviewer?
Probably not. I enjoy it. To me, again, I'm just having conversations, but sometimes they go well, sometimes I think they all go fine, but I wouldn't say by any means am I a great interviewer. I'm also not saying I'm a shit interviewer. I'm just,
okay.
It's something
I've never had a problem with your interview style.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Fair enough. All
yeah.
right.
I don't,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think you're just a fine interviewer, but go on.
But I think when you're talking about some of the greats, some of it probably is just natural ability, right? But also knowing like the research behind it, and often knowing you don't always need to have that depending on the style, but like I joke that I know a whole lot about, or a whole lot of nothing about a lot, right? So I know snippets of lots of things, but not a wealth of knowledge over one particular topic. So I think when I get to, if it's some more complex or whatever, I may struggle to find where I want to take it, right? Unless it's just a natural conversation, you just get along that easy with somebody. If you're trying to push it, I don't have the same research skills that and knowledge carry that a lot of people do have. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. When do you feel like you realized, not when, what was the thing at work when you were sort of going through that transition? What was the thing that you had to say that you felt was really important? Was it not necessarily in cases, because you find yourself going, oh, the things that I say people are responding to. But then you just mentioned that you have like a work motto, right?
Yeah,
because you affect positive change. So how do you go from the realization, and now I have a motto, right? Can you compare like maybe what that early motto might have been, or did you have an early motto?
I think that's part of it. There wasn't one. There was, so how to answer that? So when I was younger, and even like I said, through college, a bit of a partier, I was, and I still have some, I was lazy, right? So unless I was really excited about it,
right,
I had a hard time connecting with it, right? So
I totally get
and again,
that.
I didn't excel in school, but it had nothing to do with my ability. It was just I just didn't care about a lot of it. So it's really hard to connect with content if you don't like it. But like, is it like you'll find when there's things I do like, I'm all over it and I can retain and really get into it. My middle son is very much like that. I can see him struggling a bit in school, but I'll ask him basic questions. He'll have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. And then I'll say, hey, how did boxing go? And he'll explain the entire lesson, how many kicks of each thing he did and to what bag and who taught him. I'm like, how did you just do that? He's like, well, I like it. I'm like, yeah, I know. So it's everyone learns differently. But yeah,
I like that. The concept of having a motto or a phrase or a mantra, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm in marketing, whenever everybody says like, oh, what's your brand? I want to vomit. Yeah. But when I'm in yoga class and somebody says like, hold this mantra in your head, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
because
I'm on that one.
Yeah. Cultural appropriation. But so framing things is really interesting. How much do you feel like you've been author of the journey versus experiencer of it?
Oh, more experiencer than author.
Tell me why.
Well, and I'm thinking just about your previous question about was there a motto or something versus before. And like I said, I went through this phase where, I fell into a job I didn't love by any means. I did it well, but it was paying the bills. My priorities changed. Kids came.
Yeah.
Everything happened the way life happens, right? Fuck it.
Yeah.
You roll with it. And then, repeat the last part of your question.
Oh, fuck. The gummies are kicking in. Are you more author or
right
experiencer?
Yes. So for the longest time I didn't have really any guiding anything. I just kind of went with it. And now again in my age, I've finally last say 6, 7, 8 years maybe started to take back control of some things that not that I felt like I ever missed anything out on anything, but pushing more for things that I want to do and things I want to be happy with and things that excite me. So like even like this podcasting stuff, like this is great. I would never have found myself in this kind of avenue, but it worked out well. And I'm glad I've embraced it and running with it and met such an amazing community. So yeah, you start saying yes to more things and some cool shit starts happening.
I feel like Gen X is bringing some fabulousness to the midlife crisis. Right. Like what was the former, like what are the tropes of midlife crises? Like the dudes buy cars and then women get facelifts. Like those have been the old tropes of like, how do you know somebody's in a midlife crisis? I feel like for Gen Xers, we're going back to the 90s. Like we reclaim our time.
You're not wrong.
I know I'm not wrong because go on.
Yeah. I just bought the first snowboard I've bought since I was 17.
Right.
And I'm like, next year I'm going to the X Games. So whatever,
Totally. I'm going to be crushing that half pipe. I was playing volleyball a couple weeks ago so I was going to the gym and there was I work at a university and there was a club volleyball tournament. It wasn't even like actual, it wasn't the higher level competitive volleyball. It wasn't NCAA volleyball. It was club volleyball. And I heard the shouts first and then I heard the sounds of the balls and it was like I was a dog and like things started firing in my brain and my tail started wagging. And I like went in and I sat there and I must have looked psychotic, right? Because I'm wide-eyed, slack-jawed. I'm asking, can I go sit? And I got to watch the last set. Long story short, the kid, there was a family of 3 and they needed a 4th. They didn't realize it. They were playing a 2s game and they were down 1. So I asked if they could play and we were having a great time and I was moving around and it was like my body hadn't forgotten. And the ball fell short in front of the net and I went to pancake. I don't know if you know volleyball.
Nope.
So I threw myself.
I don't know pancake.
So when you pancake a volleyball, you're basically throwing your body onto the floor and you're reaching your hand out. You're basically stretched out as far as you can in the hopes that the ball will hit the top of your hand.
Oh, against the floor and bounce
against the floor. So you're like sliding, right? And it usually ends in a recovery roll, which I did at 43 and I landed on my feet. It was like when you drop a cat in the tub and they don't know what happened. It was just like so disorienting, but also like, oh, I guess I remember how to do that. So you too can go to the X Games is what I'm trying to say. But
I mean, prior to this, my goal was to learn curling at some point and be old, because I think that's the only sport I probably have a legitimate chance of, and I'm saying legitimate very loosely, a chance of winning a gold medal with. So, can
I be on your team? Because when Al was when he was Instagramming up the curling place, wherever he was, when he was doing Yes, We're Open. Yeah. I was so jealous.
Yeah. And I'm not putting anything against curling. I know it's a very hard, very challenging sport, but I like stuff like that. And I feel like I could do it, but I've never learned. So I'm a late bloomer, but it'll pick up.
Of course it will. I think you're right on time. That's what I've started telling myself, because we are very similar. We have similar paths.
Sure.
And I had like an 11-year college career. It took me 11 years. And I'm not a doctor, obviously. But like if you had told me then, hey, you're going to be in there for 11 years anyway, might as well just get the doctor and do surgery. I would have been like,
can you just trade in?
I would have been like, it's 97. I'm going to see Pearl Jam.
You can't like trade up those years for a doctorate.
You can't trade those in. Nope. They don't let you.
They're like coupons.
But so how do you, what do you think has been the best thing about being a late bloomer and the hardest thing about being a late bloomer?
Oh God, just digging this one, eh?
Dude,
no, I know.
Come on. We'll talk Letterkenny soon. It'll get light soon.
We don't need to. We can talk whatever you want. This is your show. I'm just here. Okay, say it again.
Oh, you can't make me repeat questions. The further we get into this interview, the more I'm going to lose them.
420, we're doing our best here.
I know. So
we got this. The best thing and the hardest.
We're saying about being a late bloomer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you said the best thing
and the worst
hardest
thing,
and the hardest thing or worst thing. Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. I don't know if there's the best thing about being. I mean, I think I'm mature enough, and I know I say that loosely as well, to realize how awesome a lot of things are, and I approach them differently. My mentality is completely different. Like I'm a highly logical thinker, believe it or not. So I found myself taking to things actually better now than I would when I was younger, when I was more of a space cadet, right? So now that I can think logically about things, I can apply that to anything. So if I pick up a football, I'm like, I know what I need to do. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the steps that need to do that, right? Little things like that. So I have that realization, and I really enjoy getting into things now. And not as nervous to try them, right?
Right.
The hardest thing, is I'm not old by any means, but I'm old enough that I'm starting to feel it, right? And so anything that's it's usually a longer journey to get to anything great within those areas of whatever it is you choose to do.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's just fun. I'm just glad I am where I am, and I'm glad I do what I do, and I try the things I try.
What has been your favorite new skill that you've picked up?
Podcasting.
Yeah.
Does that count? I mean, that's
So you were building decks prior to the deck that you built?
Oh no! Oh well, that's okay. Well, if you want to go that route, yes. No, I was not. No,
I mean, podcasting is a skill. I was thinking more like, that.
Okay, that's fair one too. So you are right. I know I've made a lot of jokes about my woodworking stuff, and I don't do a lot of it, but I do genuinely enjoy it. Again,
how much have you done?
I've made my son's bed. I've made the deck. I made a big ass planter out front. I made a picture frame, but those that recall took me 2 tries because it didn't go well the first time. I made our whole shoe rack in the front of our house.
So what would so if I was a budding woodworker, what would you recommend as a beginning project?
See, you're missing one element. I'm really cheap, so I can't really make a proper recommendation. So I'm using mom. I know. Okay. So I'm using like the cheapest shit I can find and then just making it work. Like I go into the store and I see, I need 2x6. Well, there's that 2x6, and I guess it's oak and it's like $50 for a board. Or there's this pine piece that's kind of soft, but whatever. It only cost me $6. So, okay. It's not, it was more only a couple cases we need to choose specific items. Like we made my son's bed, and even that we didn't use anything. We didn't use any real wood. It was all like, oh my god, like fabricated shit.
Yeah,
because it's more guaranteed to be straight, right? When you buy a lot of boards, they're warped and they're all hell. So when you get the MDF and other things like that are manufactured, they typically are straight as an arrow, and so we use that. But no, I mean nothing particular. I like doing it. It's fun. We have the tools. I like to work with my hands, and it's kind of therapeutic for me on the times that I've really gotten into a project.
So when did the hat collection start?
To what it is now, I'd say in recent years, but I've always been a hat guy. I've always I remember one of my first really excited hats I had was a purple and black Toronto Raptors hat. When they first came out, I wore that thing to death. Loved it. I had I'm going to forget it was a US NCAA team, and I can't remember which one it was, but I'm not a sports guy, right? Go sports.
Yeah. Go sports ball.
I wouldn't have even been able to tell you what sport they played, but I loved the hat. So I bought it. It was like white and the writing was blue. Someone can tell me what that might be. I think it had a D, but either way,
it did.
It probably did, and I loved it. Right? There was a hat I once bought at an airport it had a can of leaf on. I loved it. I didn't even need to fly anywhere. I went back to the airport into the area just so I could buy 2 more of them for when they broke. So I've always enjoyed hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if I'd stock up on ones that I really liked, and then in more recent year, last 10 years especially, I've started getting really connected to certain ones. I get excited about them. And I always just, I don't know, I just like hats. And there's nothing, and I don't think there's anything wild or spectacular. Like none of them are expensive. They're nothing fancy. There's certain things I look at them like, I really like that hat.
That's great. I want to know what makes the hat for you. Like what
there's
what is the hat?
There's no rule of thumb. I typically like something. I obviously most of them are ball caps.
Yeah.
Flat brim is newer to me. Like this isn't totally flat, but the flatter style is something I've only acquired the last few years. I don't know. There's nothing that particularly stands out. It's usually unique to some degree. Like I don't want just a standard old black Blue Jays hat, right? Like I'll wear it, but I'm not super excited. But it has to be something about it that stands out to me. Like I know you can see some of the ones behind me on the wall.
Like talk me through some of them. Yeah.
So, well, hold on. Let me just. I'll get it. So, like,
and ladies and gentlemen, this is now a tour of Matt's hats.
Yeah. So this one, as an example, is it's gonna be hard to see. I'll see if I can get. Okay.
There you go. Oh,
so it's a map of Canada.
Where in the Canada is?
So there's the U.S. This is the U.S. right here.
Yeah.
Right, and this is all the provinces across the top here. So it's a map, like atlas, formed to a hat with a cork beak. I love it.
Beak is the correct term.
Yeah, or brim, whatever.
Okay, brim. I've never heard beak. I didn't know if that was Canada.
Anyways, no, not necessarily. I think I just said beak for some reason. But
that's fine.
That one I loved. I found it at like a market somewhere, and I was absolutely in love with it. I picked it up, and it's pretty worn out now. I don't wear it very often. But when I first wore it, even I loved it. I go out and there'd be people stop me like, that's a top 10 hat. I'm like, right? Like, I'm glad you see that. I'm getting excited. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's amazing. So I look for things like
a talking piece too now.
Yes. I wear a lot of color when I'm obviously wearing a bright yellow shirt. I like colors. They're fun. So
they are fun.
So yes, I have a mix of everything, but that's one of my favorite hats that I just showed you.
And where did you get that again?
It was just at a vendor at a market downtown Toronto.
Oh wow!
Okay. I was walking by and I stopped. There was hats and he had a whole bunch of them, and I'm like, I bought 2 of them. I think that floral one up in the corner there is also
well done, Weatherman.
From that same right.
Yeah, this hat here, you'll notice in this general area, you're experiencing cat. Where the hat that is from the farthest location?
Oh God, I don't know. What kind of question is that? I don't know.
What is a totally normal question?
Well, it's fair enough.
If you're wait. Okay. You're the man who's collecting hats for all different sorts of reasons. And me asking where the furthest is from is weird.
All right. Fair enough.
Aficionado?
Whatever.
Much?
You made your point. Okay, Case? You made your point.
Well, so you don't have an answer yet, though.
No,
Matt.
well, none of them are from anywhere unique, to be honest with you.
Just all some market in Toronto.
Yeah, like that. Obviously, there's like 3 of them up there that were from a box that came from Jared Keyso, so that's pretty cool. This one is from a boat launch in Bob Cajun, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
I think the one up top here is my buddy's company, Lax Life. He's a professional lacrosse player, and that's from him. This one, sorry, this is hard. I'm trying to point for those. You only. The one beside it is a company called Headster, and they have like kids hats. So I don't know, so on and so forth. They're just. I was trying my best to do the old weatherman.
I loved it. No, I loved it. I'm thinking about our audience.
Yeah, no, I get it. I forgot where we were for a second.
Uh-oh. See, I don't even have the live stream up for this reason.
Oh, fuck.
So let's go to our pals. I'm going to start with a friend question from Michelle, our Sudbury pal. Questions for Matt. Tell me about your childhood.
Oh God, that's so broad.
What shows, cartoons did you watch on Saturday morning? Favorite show and cereal? What are all your retro kid gear? Retro. Yep.
Okay. What were those again?
Retro kid gear. What shows, cartoons did you watch on Saturday morning? And favorite show, and cereal.
And cereal. Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote them down because we're not
Good.
doing so good at remembering the questions.
I know.
So I'm making
That's
myself notes
smart.
on bills.
Way to scaffold yourself.
Right. So retro. Let's start with retro because they kind of tie. Yeah, there's retro kid stuff. I've got a whole bunch. I've got a Camp Caribou. I've got a Beetlejuice sweater, Flintstone sweater, Degrassi shirt, Raccoons, which is an old Canadian cartoon show, CBC sweater, and a couple other things. So really enjoy that retro kid brand. Is out of Toronto. They're bringing me right back. So you were talking about already, yes. Going back, and everything we're doing these days is throwing it back, right?
Yeah.
I'm living it right now. It's this brand is my people, and they're celebrating this shit. Shows and cartoons. Oh yeah, I was a big cartoon guy. I kind of watched them all. Like I was right down, like Looney Tunes was always a big one of mine. My Pet Monster was a huge one. And if any of these are Canadian and you don't know, then I don't remember. But
My Pet Monster.
My Pet Monster. Yeah, it was this kid who had a stuffed animal, and it was little. I think it was blue and purple monster. He had handcuffs on, and then he'd turn the key in the handcuffs, and the handcuffs would come off, and then he would come to life, and he'd hang out with him and his friends.
What?
Yeah,
Wait,
Matt.
Matt.
His name was Monty. It was amazing. It was amazing. I think his name was Monty. Monty the Monster. And then there was like another monster who was always trying to capture him, and his friends would save him, and it was awesome.
He's a scary looking thing. He's
you looking him up?
Blue with purple jowls and like fangs and a teal nose. And
he was
yellow
awesome.
eyes.
And he like growled when he talked. It was amazing.
That's fantastic. No, we never had. Well, maybe we did. I don't know. I didn't get out much as a kid.
No, that was for sure one of the ones that always stood out to me. I was the beginning of the Power Rangers era. At some point. I loved them. The
like
old
early
the OG
Billy the Blue Ranger.
All that shit afterwards. Oh, it's terrible. But
crap.
The
My
OG.
kids make me watch it, and I'm like, can we just go back to the
Tommy and the Green Ranger series?
Right?
Oh my god, you can't. That was some of the best television at that
Dude,
time.
When Tommy, no, it sent me. It sent everybody at the time.
Yeah, it was very stressful. I remember coming home from school, waiting for that next episode to watch so I could figure out what's going on. It was something I thought about all day. It was. That was our first experience with like a stressful TV. I think was Tommy and the Green Ranger.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like the first.
When did you watch storylines or anything like that before? You didn't watch storylines.
No.
You watched a cartoon that made you laugh, and that was it.
Well, I know because I watched Thundercats.
True.
Thundercats was pretty freaking dramatic, and that was early 80s.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There are some other ones, but
Mum Ra, that dude was scary as shit. Matt, when he was the original, like, blah. You remember? Is that Beetlejuice too? Do you know what I'm talking about?
But Mum Ra?
No, I'm my no.
You're jumping timelines here.
Yeah, I'm jumping timelines. No, so in Beetlejuice, doesn't he remember? There's a scene where Michael Keaton turns to somebody, and you see it's almost like his face opens up, but you see it from behind, and it's a bunch of snakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I
in the
watched
intro to Thundercats, there's like a scene where Mum Ra's like mummy things are flying in the air. And like, I bet you if you laid over, like we could create a meme. The weed has kicked in. This is a great question.
This is going well. I love
Cartoons.
it. I forgot about cereal.
Show and cereal. Favorite show? My Pet Monster?
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely a top. Even Camp Caribou. I'm wearing the fucking shirt, the sweater. It was great. That's a Canadian classic as well.
Yeah.
Kids living their best life. Skits and jokes and songs, and I had like a ping pong ball. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then cereal. Fruit Loops was definitely a top. Lucky Charms was in there. Corn Pops, I was a big fan of. Yeah.
Corn Pops.
There's a few.
Nice. Yeah. What was high school like for you?
High school. Fun. I'm gonna go with fun. I got stoned a lot in high school. Yeah. Smoked a lot of weed in high school. But it was fun. Like I found a lot of good. I met a lot of good people in high school. There wasn't a lot of issue amongst I think I was fortunate enough to be in I'd say the right people, but even a school as a whole didn't have a lot of drama. Or if there was, it was weird. We used to joke about like my close knit group. All of us seemed to have friends that were associated to other groups within the school. So we kind of got, not that we were friends with them all, we got along with everyone to some degree. So we just had a good time. Drank a lot. Yeah, just had a lot of fun.
So
I was shy as well. Like I said,
right.
Which is probably why I like to drink and stuff with my friends, because it would bring me out of my shell a little bit more.
How many were in your kind of group that had?
Like I'd say our close knit group was like 6 to 8 people or so at tops. Like there was like a core 2 or 3 of us. Like I had 2 or 3 really close friends, and then we all just kind of spiraled out from there, right?
Yeah. That was my exact high school experience. So there were 6. There was like a core of like 4 or 3, and then I moved, and we became 6. And then by the time we all got to high school, there was like between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
Girls that we all just hung out, and I was the theater, sports, volleyball, and then Chandra was shyer and like the smartest of all of us, and collected Pez dispense and was like all honor student, and like Kelly and Sally played tennis, and Aaron did debate. We all were different, and the 6 of us were like tight knit, and we were really surprised to hear at one of our reunions that people thought we were a clique.
Okay.
Did anybody?
No, nothing.
I guess
like
that happens less with guys, probably.
But I don't know. I mean, our group was weird, and in all fairness, I never even stayed close a lot beyond high school either. So maybe that says a lot about how close some of them actually were. I mean, I loved all the people I knew, but you know, I from high school, I think I only really stay in contact with 3 people.
Right.
And the other thing that I always laughed about, I was really awkward. At least I felt I was, because I had troubles connecting with people, or like maybe because I was shy and whatever. But some of my closest friends were always the biggest sports people, which made no sense to me, because I don't play sports. I don't know anything about sports. I know what they are, of course, and I've been to game, but
did you go support them?
Yeah, of course. Like,
so you dug going to sport. You like going to the sports ball.
I liked going with my friends, right? It wasn't about the sport. So like one of my absolute closest friends growing up played AAA hockey, right? And actually the first time we met, and I think this is why we became friends this very first time, because I think I balanced him out in some way. I moved in across the street from this guy, Kevin, and for the first like 6 months, didn't say a word. Again, I was so shy, blah, blah, blah. This is a true story. We were in grade 6, and I remember going to school, and he was not in my class, but we went on the same bus and all this shit. And he comes up to me one day, and he in the line for the bus, and he goes, "Hey, you live across the street, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay," and he runs away. That was our first interaction. Second interaction, I'm watching him from my window, because I'm a shy, lonely kid in this new street. And he saw that and then waved at me, and I closed the blinds. So I didn't know what to do. Fast forward, I think a few days later that week, he knocks on my door. And I'm like,
gasp.
Oh shit, it's him. Like, because I've seen the guy across the street. It looks like he's my age. He could be friends. And he says, "You want to come
watching
play
him through the tiny crack?
Yeah, I'm creepy
across the street.
Creepy as fuck." And he says, "Hey, I'm Kevin. Do you want to come play hockey?" And I said, "Sure." I didn't have a stick. I'd never played hockey in my life. Holy fuck. So, but off I go with this guy who I find out is like a rep hockey player already, and his friends who are all into this. And then there's me. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, I think it was one of those, everyone there was laughing at me so hard. And I've always been able to laugh at myself too. So I realized what an idiot I looked like. And we just laughed. And I think that moment was, he's like, "All right, you're my friend now." Because maybe it was for humor's sake early on, but I would get in like, "Oh, let's play hockey. How do you play? Which way do I go?" And I knew nothing. And our friendship took off from there. So,
oh my God,
it's a fucking true story.
Oh, Matt.
I still talk to the guy today.
Oh my God, Matt.
It's super awkward as fuck.
That's yeah. Yeah, no, that's friendship on site. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "This guy's different."
This one's a keeper.
Oh fuck. So
Oh man.
sometimes that's how you make friends.
I think that's always how you make friends. Having a sense of humor is critical. How much of your humor is like intentional versus organic? I like these comparisons, right?
I like to believe that most of it's organic.
Mhm.
I definitely there's moments where I push it and try to get people going, even around the house. I get yelled at all my kids already. My 3-year-old is a smart ass, and Jen yells at me all the time. She's like, "This is all your fucking fault."
Yeah,
and I'm like, I know. Like I can't even deny it. My kids are shooting jokes back at me, and I get mad sometimes. I'm like, nope, I did this. I 100% encourage this because I fucked with them since day one, and this is all they know. So yeah, it's a real blend, but I'm always very aware, even if it's not forced. I'm like, hey, that was kind of stupid. Right, even if it came out naturally. Yeah, I like to laugh.
right. I like making people laugh.
Yeah,
I find this super satisfying, and I wonder if you can relate. I have this. I've observed recently, because I'm in therapy and I'm doing a lot of yoga. Just doing some inventory, right? And I've noticed a lot that when I'm at work, I don't care about being professional if I know I can say something that will make people laugh.
Yeah.
Well, not vulgar, not crass, but I just find myself making that choice. Like, I don't care if I seem unprofessional. And yes, we all have a laugh. I'm laughing. We're all laughing. I don't see the point in not trying to make people laugh, because I think people take life too seriously in general.
I think I'm the same with you, like you as work. I often find myself sometimes I feel like I'm pushing the envelope, or I'll get like Jen will hear me on a call. She's like, I can't believe you said that. I'm like, why? Like because I'm like, why
Come
not?
at me, bro.
I'm like, if this wasn't work and all these people, not all of them, but a lot of people we talk to them, this is how we'd be talking. But because we're at work where there's this bubble over it says you have to be this, and yes, there's professionalism, and like you said, not vulgar, and your lines. If you cross those lines, you need to just scale it back a bit, and realize that you're kind of going into a dark place, but
read the room.
100%. I make jokes all the time at work and wherever I'm sitting, and I used to laugh, like, again, the hat thing. Since we've been home, all my work calls I wear a hat. In the office, we were still semi-casual, like jeans and a collar. When home, I started doing it. I remember going to my boss one day, because I think I really became myself in a work setting when I worked from home. I felt more comfortable in my own space. The office I've created over time. This thing has really evolved. And I remember talking to my boss one time, like, listen, I do. Is this okay? Like, no one's told me this is not in our dress code. I know that. Nobody said it. Nobody said a thing, right? And he laughed. He's like, you know what? You're comfortable. You're doing a good job. Just you'll have the smarts to know when it's not okay. You do you. I'm like, wow. Thank you. He really just put full trust, and it wasn't even like he was setting me up. It felt very genuine. Like, who am I to tell you? This is what that makes you comfortable and how you feel good, and we get good work out of you. Then, fuck it. Like, you do you.
Yeah.
So it felt good to be supported from a leadership perspective. I know everyone doesn't get that out there, but there are some good leaders out there.
How do you see yourself becoming, well, like, how do you see yourself as a leader? Like, what is your leadership perspective, philosophy?
I don't know if I have a philosophy necessarily. Sorry. I do, even though I'm not in a direct leadership role, like with people under me, I'm very much in a leadership role. I have a lot of influence over a lot of the projects I work with. A big part of my job is getting other people's buy-in and support and know-how behind things, and I think I do it well. I think it's just I believe I just connect with a lot of people very easily. And I also, like I've talked about, I've positioned myself in my career where I'm doing things that I enjoy. And I'm driving, again, my mantra, positive change. Therefore, I'm more excited about it. And I've been told on multiple occasions that people can see my passion and my excitement about what I do. And they're like, oh, we want to help you. So if I've led teams where I don't really like the work, and there's a very different, like, I'm going through the motions, but I like to be in a position where I'm also supporting people doing work that we both are into. And then that's when I really thrive.
When did you learn that early, or is that a late
Very late
thing? Yeah, that for me too. And you know what? Going back to that late bloomer thing, I don't know if this sits with you, but I feel like the experience that I crafted in my early 20s, because I was by no means unintentional in anything that I did. I knew what I was doing in my 20s. I was making decisions.
Yeah.
I will never not own my decisions or say, oh, I was too drunk, or I was too.
Oh yeah,
No,
I can look back and go, that was stupid as fuck. But I know what I did.
Right. Like I knew what choices, but even in the moment, I knew, I even felt like I knew what I was risking.
Yeah.
And I feel like 43 for me has been the most adult I've felt.
Yeah.
Like I still felt like in my mid 20s up until 40, I think. Just mentally, and just so like when did you grow up?
No, I still haven't.
You don't think, you don't feel like you're adulting yet?
Yes and no. I don't. I mean, I'm not quite 40 yet. I'm pushing it. But
You've got time.
Yeah, but I know, but it's the realization. I hear you. So the things that make me feel like I'm older is recovery from any fucking thing. Even if it's drinking, it's always like I need to make sure if I'm gonna do this, that it's worth the pain I'm gonna feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if the balance isn't there, it's like it's 2 beers and I'm done. Like
that's right.
I'm smart enough to make those choices now and realize what's on the line for what's to come.
Yeah.
So things like that. Work wise, I've definitely matured, but I still stay who I am. So I'm still kind of a goofball at times. And the weirdest thing is, like, again, I have 3 kids, but just saying that even now, I'm like, I have fucking 3 kids. Like,
they let me take them home.
I often, right? Who did this? Like, why did they do this? And then the idiot in me is like, I can prove I did it 3 times, right? Like, so it just shows how much I've grown up, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's hard to, you can't accept them all. And the reality is, you're like, I'm still young, but you're not. And you're just getting there, but you roll with it. I always look in the family room, like there's fucking 3 of them. Like, and I say it like that in my head.
Yeah. What piece of advice do you wish you could give your sons that they would actually follow?
Try everything. Like I've said that to them before. I want them to, and obviously that's within reason. Don't go try murder. It's not something that I would recommend.
Right.
Right? Don't try that. It's not okay. But within the confines of reality, try everything. I shied away from so many things early on because of shyness and lack of confidence and things of that nature. Now, even trying things new now, I'm like, fuck, like I love it, but why didn't I do that so long ago? Right? How did I not know that this was as good as this is? Because I said no at some point based on what? Nothing. No one fucking told me. Right. So even food. I've only in the last number of years really started to explore food a lot, but I'm like, fuck, there's so many good things. The amount of Nutella I've eaten in the last 3 years because I said no to it for fucking 35 years. Oh my God, I am crushing jars of that shit. Right? It's stupid things like that. But I'm like, so I tell my kids, I'm like, I don't care if you don't like it, but try it.
Yeah.
Just put it in your fucking mouth and go, and then either spit it, right? And either spit it out or go, oh, you were right, Dad.
That's right.
But make a conscious decision on things. Don't ever just assume. So that's what I mean by try everything. Like I really want them to have that mentality, is that try everything and then advocate for yourself. Right. There, you realize that one. And I think Al talked about this a bit last at his as well, is, you're never going to know unless you just ask. Right. And
a
lot of people just roll over and say, okay, that's the way it is, whatever, but you ask, stand up for yourself, and don't be a dick, but know that you matter and do your thing. So things like that.
Yeah. Things like that. That's a good one. It's got me thinking about, the gravity of raising two white men in America. Not to get really deep, but I think about that a lot. These, like the things that you think about as a parent and the things that you want to model for them. And you're crafting the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like people I don't think I understand what that means as far as being a parent, like I'm influencing reality that isn't realized because they're going to exist in that.
Yeah, mind blowing.
How do you? Yeah, I don't even know how you.
You can't.
Right. Right.
Everything we think we know is wrong.
Right.
Right. And like even like we have an ongoing argument about letting the kids play things like video games and get screen time and all that shit. And this has been a big issue. You hear that conversation all the time. Oh, how much screen time, blah, 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 blah. But here's the fucking reality. We are in a technology driven world where everything out there is done using technology. Like, yes, there are aspects you can take your life in more minimalist ways and do whatever. That's fine. But if you're have any intentions to go any form of best way to put like a more of a mainstream sort of lifestyle, you need to know these things. And every day we don't let our kids interact with technology, they're behind, right? So you'll see kids who have have all this time, and then they get into school and they're starting to do, robotics and things like that. Well, a lot of those kids started playing video games. Like, and I'm not advocating for that either, but it's a weird battle room where a lot of things that we think should be wrong actually can be interpreted and spun as a positive for their future in quantity. So it's like, where's the balance? And
maybe this is where Gen X needs to step up. Maybe we're the ones who need to say something different can be true.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to get.
No.
Anyway, let's take a question from the gallery. KCP asks Matt, could you post some more dog pictures in the Discord?
Sure.
How is Moose?
Moose is good. I'm loving him more lately. I don't know what it was. I was talking the other day. I'm like, again, I've always loved my dog, but I definitely went through a period where I just was annoyed by him a lot. Maybe you do that with your kids too, right? You just go through a period, you're like, fuck, they're annoying.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I went through that with Moose, and I'd say just in the last couple months, I really started to connect with him more. He's a really good dog. We're fortunate. I mean, he has his medical shit, and that's always going to be a thing now. We know later on in life he's going to have issues with arthritis and other shit, but he's a good fucking dog.
He's such a bo.
He just plays, and he's
is he nearby?
No, he's not. He sleeps about 80% of his life. Yeah, but when he's awake, he's a monster, and it's awesome. And he jumps around and frolics, and bounces like a gazelle around the living room, and then he'll pass out for 9 hours. So
right. Does he love the snow?
Oh yeah, loves the snow. He loves the water. He loves being outside.
Yeah.
Outside. Yeah.
Oh, is that the word? Is that how you say it?
No. Actually,
like, how does he know when he's going out?
We don't have to say anything. He senses it.
Oh,
he senses it. Like, he'll know. Like, I'll put my jacket on, say 15 times a day to go, but there's somehow he catches, and I will say nothing. I won't touch his leash. I'll put on my jacket. Suddenly he'll jump up and like, how do you know? How do you possibly know that I'm about to grab your shit and go? He just knows.
Dogs know.
Yeah. But at this time, of night, to for the reality check on the opposite side, how lazy he is. When I'm done on this, when we go to bed, he'll be sleeping, and I'll have to take him out to go pee. It'll take me 10 minutes to get him out of his bed. He will not. He just flat out refuses to move.
And if you don't, he'll have an accident.
No, he just won't do anything, or he'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and decide he wants to
wake everybody up. Yeah.
So it's like, you have to go, and he'll look at me. He's wide awake. He's just like, I'm not moving. You're gonna have to literally pick me up if you want me to go. And I will flip his bed over. I drag him across the floor. I get yelled at by Jen, and she's like, "Stop!" I'm like, "How do I get this fucking? He's 100 pounds. I can't just haul him out the door." And he will not move. So
not a chihuahua.
No, this is a nightly battle, which I'm looking forward to having soon.
Do you need is that something like the dog whisperer or
no? There's no fix for it. He just doesn't want to get up.
He's just a lazy dog.
I have no idea.
It sounds like a him problem.
For sure it is.
Cassie asks, what is your favorite aspect of being involved with the produce stand?
My favorite aspect, you guys, the community. For sure it is. I mean, obviously everything around it are, just being part of something. I think that's the most simplistic way to put it, being part of something in the community. I didn't know what I expected, but I didn't expect this. I didn't expect 2 years later to be hanging out with, yourself and interacting with a bunch of people who I was going to say the word stranger, but like, no, that's not it. It was at one point, but no, we're way beyond that. And I love what this has become. It's so much more than just a podcast. And so everything
was
around it.
Crazy that Thursday night before we went up to Sudbury.
Funny enough, I was thinking about that even before I came on. I was like, I still remember when I had the mic and I was going, you and I sitting there and just like, hey kids, how you now? Back and forth. And then we're like, this is crazy. And having our portion of our chat, I remembered very vividly. And it was wild. I remember we talk about that ourselves too, like Al, Victor, Tanya, and I, the random times we are just the four of us, and we're all blown away. It's blown away. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think Mike asked that question too. Like, besides meeting us in person and virtually, what has been the best thing about your inclusion in the pod? And just what you said about community. I think is that the same answer to that question?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. It's just it's special.
If you could take the success, this is also from Mike, of the produce stand and parlay that into your own show, what would it be about if you were able to do that?
I don't know. So funny enough, I would probably like my own kind of podcast show. Is that what you think he's talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
Your
own show.
I suspect mine would, because I'm not very structured. I'm not very good with some of that. I would imagine it would be more human interest style stuff, like sort of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Getting together with a few people, loose sort of agenda, maybe centered around an overarching theme of some sort, but
or not.
Essentially just hanging out, man.
Yeah.
And talking. And if it's interesting enough for people to listen, then awesome. If not, you get to spend some cool times with some friends. And that's what I loved about this early on. It was just, we were in COVID and we didn't interact with anybody. And Al brought this idea forward, and it was very cool and unique. And I knew nothing about podcasts, and we got to hang out with some good people every week. And then it grew. Yeah, it was my extracurricular activity that I could depend on, and I loved it.
How do you describe the magic that seems to have surrounded the podcast?
I fucking have no idea. It's unreal.
Like, when you talk about it to people, like, do you talk about it to people?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So but
those
like,
that'll listen. Yeah.
Right. So when you're like out in the world and talking to people, like, how do you frame this? How do you describe this?
Well, I kind of, I see what their interest is as well. Like, I don't want to be that one's like, oh my God, hey, I barely know you, but did you hear him on a podcast?
No.
But if it comes up, or if someone asks, what'd you do the night or whatever, I'll be like, yeah, I did this. Or I'll casually say, somebody asks what my hat, I'm like, oh, it's from the podcast I do. And if they're like, oh, what's podcast? Right. Then there's interest. And then I'll kind of say it's this, and it's about Letterkenny. And then I'll get some people who are like, who the fuck is Letterkenny?
What?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the ones like, oh, Letterkenny. So there's only real two sides of Letterkenny fans. Either you've never heard of it, or you basically love it. There's not much in between. So yeah, and if they are interested, I just give them the rundown. Like, so what we do. And I think one of the most common things I said is that one of the coolest things about what we do is we invite all of our listeners and friends on the show.
Yeah.
And that's when this thing really changed, when we started doing that with more consistency, and to the point that it's just part of the show. Because I just love that.
Well, everybody loves it because it's like Letterkenny. It's like we've created our own Letterkenny.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's very ensemble, family felt driven. Like, it's driven by this thing. And I think that we see that when we all see, like, when they'd shoot, and we see all the behind the scenes on Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
you can get the sense just from watching them and how they behave.
Yeah.
That they have that relationship, and it's been confirmed in interviews that that's intentional.
Yeah.
But we discovered that later on. We assumed that early on, but that's what brings people together. Hockey brings people together.
And that's how genuine the show is, right? You can have that kind of authenticity, even in something that's kind of sketchy and like sketch driven and all that, without that connection that they have, and they so clearly have. And yeah, I think around like the watchers and viewers of Letterkenny and Shorzy, even as obscure as some of what the show is, brings some really amazing people together. And I think why it does that, and I've thought about this before, is the topics they cover, right? Nothing's really off grounds, even if they handle it in kind of out their ways or things that might at face value seem kind of, what the fuck is going on? It's smart and very inclusive and other things. So I think it draws a lot of people with those shared personalities of community and accepting of everyone regardless, center around this kind of show, the ones that get it especially. So it's natural and it makes sense that we would find a group of individuals like yourselves that are the same fucking way.
Yeah.
Right? There's no bad blood in anything that we do in our interactions, our after shows, the Discord, the pre-Twitter DM group. It's quite mind-blowing, with this many people who don't really know each other can interact so flawlessly, and it's not like we're saying, hey, how was your day? Like, the conversations that happen are mind-blowing in a lot of cases, but they're still all well intended and well received, and very passionate, awesome group.
It's because we were living our real world fantasies out. And like, that's all that was. I think it's a Gen X thing. I think it's a trademark of a generation. We were all dying to be seven strangers doing something together someday, right? And that's definitely how I felt traveling, in December.
Yeah.
And meeting you guys and having this technology, everything you said about tech. And I don't want my kids I don't want my kids being the ones who don't know what's going on in the world.
Well, that's it.
Fine with them knowing, and me being old lady. I can do old lady shit, but I'm Gen X, so I will be doing cooler old lady shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about that, but they need to be. They need to know. Do I limit it?
We have to prepare them, right?
Right, but I limit it only because they need to learn how to regulate their time.
Yes, exactly.
I have the self-control to put my phone down. And it's hard, and I have to work on it. And I'm 43. They definitely need, like, if I can habituate that now as a parent, then it's easier for them later. I don't want them to have to figure out like, oh, I'm addicted. So, you don't get 7 hours. You go to bed.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is about you, not about me.
It's all good. This is about us, man. We're marathoning. Alice gonna sit there and go, when are you gonna wrap this shit up?
I got 5 minutes. Right?
5 minutes? What?
No, what's 90-minute mark?
I don't know.
Is that 11?
I haven't been paying attention at all.
Okay,
Ask your questions, Kacey.
Whatever. Thank you.
Ask your questions.
If you were buried up to your neck in a vat of boogers and a lump of poop was flung directly at your face, would you duck into the boogers or let the poop hit you?
Duck into the boogers.
That was from Mike.
Yeah,
Thank
100%.
you,
100%.
From our
Thanks,
friend
Mike,
Down Under, Jack. How do you feel about continuing a podcast after you've already reached your goal of people wearing your face on t-shirts?
Yes, because that was in our mission statement.
Right. But seriously, what do you enjoy most about the experience of being a part of this podcast, which you already answered, and what the podcast has become, your listeners? God. Also, when is he booking you for Hotel Australia?
Oh yes, and I'm sorry, Jack. I also owe you a response. I noticed the other day I missed a DM from him because I'm an asshole. So he asked if I was going to come back on their pod, and of course I am. I will respond to you shortly.
You heard it here, folks.
Yes. I realized that. I'm like, I've been so busy. I'm like, fuck, I need to message Jack back.
Behind the produce stand exclusive.
So the question was about what I enjoy most, or
Yeah. Apart of being like most about the experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it evolves. If it was static and we were just doing the same thing we did day one, not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but I think we wouldn't have gone this far. We would have enjoyed it for what it was, gone probably a couple seasons, and who knows, right? Because it is a passion from everyone, especially Al. Like, I think if Al wasn't enjoying him, 100%, if Al wasn't enjoying himself, this would not be where it is.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt. If there's ever any doubt in anyone, Al is the ship that keeps this thing going. And we fucking
when Al's done, we're all done, folks.
Yes. When Al says, I don't want to podcast
that's right.
anymore.
He's our Forrest Gump.
He's our glue. But no, the evolution, I think, is why this is still fun, right? It's you never know what's coming. Even when we think we're out of ideas, that we're not, and there's more things coming in. And I loved when we started introducing, bring us your ideas, and we would create shows, because some of those have been some of the best episodes. Because we're celebrating the show, and I love that we are just as inclusive, I think, in our podcast as the show is in itself, where it's like nothing's off grounds. We want to talk to everyone. We want, whether you're a fan, you're back behind the scenes, you're part of the show on screen, you just are someone else that likes the show somewhere else. Like, it doesn't matter,
right? We'll take him anybody.
This is it. Yeah. And it doesn't stay all on the script as well. It's not all about Letterkenny. It's our lives around it, and that's also very cool. So yeah, the biggest thing I think is I'm most excited and most proud of all this is the evolution of it, and why it's still fun.
Thank you. Tobias asks, what was your biggest concern starting the produce stand, and how has the podcast experience changed you?
Concern. I didn't have any concerns.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to have one, I could probably call out, it's going to sound terrible, but whether I was going to stay with it. Not that I wasn't excited about it or anything like that, but again, I just know I have such a busy life, and I'm like, am I going to be able to make time for this ongoing? But then it very quickly became, of course, it's not even about making time. This is something I do, and this is part of my life, and I'm very thankful for it. So yeah, I'd say maybe that was a concern early on, as I don't want to let my friends down if I suddenly go, this isn't fun, and duck out. But thankfully that didn't happen that way, but that was certainly a concern. And the second part of that was,
how has it changed you, this podcast experience?
How has it changed me? You want one? I'll be honest on this one. It has changed one of my opinions on a very close nation to Canada. And that would be the US of A. Not that I had a super negative opinion, but I hadn't had a ton of positive experience with Americans. Sure, nothing super out there, but just there's a viewpoint of some places, right? And I'm sure you guys aren't oblivious to some of that. So even I've been in the States a number of times, always had a good time, but definitely some weird vibes. So
got the ick.
Yeah. And I don't mean this in a way, but that was definitely my perspective on the States, and realizing there really is some amazing fucking people down there. Has changed my opinion. I'm like, it's like anywhere, like Canada's the same way, right? We've got the lesser, like the morons out there who just drag down things, and then you've got amazing epic people. And unfortunately, like anything, if you go to like the internet or anywhere, the reviewers and the people who speak up are usually the ones with worse things to say. Right. And so
I still feel like Canada has a global reputation of being super fucking nice.
Well, we've got idiots. Don't worry.
We know, but you've managed them in a way that the rest of the world can't seem to control them.
Maybe we haven't been outnumbered yet, or we don't get enough media coverage. I don't know which one it is. But anyways,
South Park maybe did you guys some favors, right? I don't know.
This is true, right? But no, that was certainly one thing. I mean, my opinions, and just maybe my confidence in my own. So we talked about the voice earlier. Yes, I've
been to Toastmasters and I've spoken and have no issue doing things like that. But when we started doing some of the like the limericks and then the commercials and number of other things, that really showed that for myself that I do have some ability. And then even again through Al, he's gotten me into some voice work internally at our work as well, doing stuff for new product launches and things like that. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback on a lot of work I've done. So no, I have not landed a gig yet, but that's turned into where we're actively working with a hiring agency to see if I can get a voice gig. And you know, it's fun. I like doing the auditions. That they're kind of like, they're really cool. And if I happen to get one, amazing. If not, at least I tried, right? But I'm putting myself out there and trying to see what could happen.
Good for you, dude. Got fingers and toes crossed for you. So what is still from Tobias, what is the best trip you've taken ever?
Just in general? Okay. So what is this going to go not opposite, but contrary to someone I said, it was my US trip with my wife.
Oh, nice. My wife.
So my wife, we had, and I haven't been to a whole lot of places, to be honest, but yeah, we did it. I've talked about this briefly before, but in case you missed it, a number of years ago, we did a bit of a tour, a 14-day tour. We drove. So we left Toronto, stayed in Windsor, Ontario for an evening to visit family, drove to Nashville for a night, then drove, and Nashville was a fucking blast, then drove to New Orleans and spent 5 or 6 days there, which was eye-opening and pretty incredible. And then started our drive back. We spent a night in Atlanta and a day there, and then in
Atlanta's wild, hey?
Yeah. We didn't get to spend much time in Atlanta.
Okay.
We only really saw it during the day. And actually funny, there was a big weed rally there when we drove through downtown. So and then in opposite of that, in Nashville, we saw a big anti-Trump rally. So that was kind of fun.
Nice.
But one of those big blow up chicken Trumps was there. I think I have a picture of it in my phone somewhere. It was amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then we did a night in just outside of Lexington, Kentucky, and drove home after that.
That's nice.
So,
that's nice country. Lexington. That's
Kentucky blew. I had no idea Kentucky was like that. We drove
fucking
all
gorgeous
through the mountains there. We actually said we'd go back there for sure. I'd love to see more of that country.
This is Smoky Mountains, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in the Blue Ridge. We're in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is Appalachian Trail. So you can hike the AT from a 30-minute drive from where I am and go straight through. Yeah, I love living in an area like that. Kentucky is freaking beautiful.
It's beautiful. Well, and I think what's unique, and again, if those have traveled all the U.S., every state is very different. It's like driving into a new country every time you cross a state line.
So cool.
Which is very unique. Yeah, the further you go south, like everything about the place changes. Like when we drove into Louisiana, I'm like, this is what I pictured Louisiana looked like from all the movies and shit I'd seen. And yeah, New Orleans is something special. I describe it as beautiful anarchy.
Right. That's what I've heard. I've never been there.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends who've gone. I've heard a lot of other people's stories.
Yeah.
I've yet to go. And I think there's a reason that I haven't made it there.
Yeah. It's sketch city, but it's a lot of fun.
I think it's probably safer for the world that I don't go there.
Okay, fair enough.
How do you plan around Victor's takes on the show?
Who has that one?
Tobias, how do you plan around Victor's takes on the show?
Plan? Who plans?
Who plans? What plans?
Let's get real. Al's the only one who plans anything. The rest of Victor doesn't even know if we're recording half the time.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure we got a message today saying, are we recording tonight? Or maybe Al jumped in early and told him just before he messaged saying, just a reminder, Victor, you're not recording tonight. Yeah, there's no preparing for Victor. There's no planning. Even if you try, you're going to be wrong.
Right.
This is why we have games like Guess Victor's Guess.
Right.
God, it terrifies me, but at the same time, I would love to spend a little bit of time inside his head. just to know how that man thinks, it's mind blowing to me.
This
And
was
I love him for it.
only regret in Sudbury was that he got sick and he was not feeling well enough to be seen, because I just wanted to look into his eyes.
He is one of
Do you know what I mean? I just want to make eye contact with his brain through his eye holes.
He is one of the most uniquely interesting people I know. And there's no other way. And that's not, and I hope that didn't come off as a bad way at all. He is just wildly interesting.
Singular.
And,
he is singular.
He is face value. You get what you get. There's no apologies. And more people should be like a Victor.
He knows his role. Like he knows who he is.
Yep.
Full, like 100%.
100%.
I've never met anyone who is attuned and aligned with who they fucking are as Victor is.
Absolutely.
And I respect the fuck out of it.
Yep.
I am here for it.
I can't wait to hear your interview with him. It's going to be all over the map, and it's going to be amazing.
That is the only one that I'm actually doing research for.
Yeah.
Like you and Al and Tanya, I feel most comfortable with. And I think that's because we've had dinner together. We've been bread.
Yeah.
Victor is the one that I'm researching.
Yeah.
I was most intimidated by Al. With that said, who is your favorite TPS cast member?
Aside from myself? I'm
a
narcissist.
That is on brand, Squirrely.
Yeah. No, that's not even is this coming from you, or is this someone else?
No, I actually decided that I'm going to ask that question because Al always asks that question, and I want to show him how uncomfortable and awful it is. I'm trying to get him to stop asking this question.
I'd say it's Al because I don't want to get fired, but no, I don't care about that. No, I don't know.
It's you. I think you go with your first answer. I think myself is the right
I can't
answer.
leave that one on record, so I've got to choose somebody.
Oh, all right.
I feel like
I'm okay with that.
As much as we banter, it's got to be Victor.
Yeah.
I look forward. Like, Al's not wrong. When we drove up to Sudbury, I wish we had that van mic'd. Oh my god. I have not laughed that hard in so fucking long, and I couldn't even tell you what anything we talked about.
Right.
But we just laughed.
That video
captured everything about our trip.
Of him getting so excited about that train.
Yeah.
I teared up.
It's genuine.
It was beautiful. Like, it was beautiful. And I watched it 20 times. You know what I mean? I watched it 20 times.
A lot of love right now, bud.
Oh, we are recording this.
Yeah.
Aaron asks, which universe character would have been close friends with you in childhood, college, and now?
I'm with Al. It's Derry.
Really?
100%. Yeah, I think it's Derry. Yeah, I think it's Derry.
Are you being super soft because you?
No, I genuinely think it would have been Derry.
He's copying you, Al.
No, it's even when you so when I was listening back and you asked that, Derry was the first person that came to my mind. There's something about him that just makes me laugh, and I feel like he and I and our awkwardness when I was younger especially would have connected. And then I think now,
that's right.
Not that I'm any of the others, but I feel like he would be someone to just be really entertaining to have, which is why he's like Wayne's best friend, right? He's always there. Because he's such a he's funny. He doesn't know he's funny. He's genuine, doesn't realize it. Like, he's just, I think it would be Derry for sure. And there's so many great characters in the show, but if you were to ask me that as most likely early young, Derry and I would have kicked off, and he'd have been a friend. I'd still like, oh, you got to be my buddy, Derry.
He would have done something that was similar to you doing what you did with hockey.
Yeah.
And then you would have adopted Derry.
100%. That's the kind of relationship it'd be. Like, you just, you keep him around early because he just makes you laugh, and then long term you're like, no, this is more than that, and I'm so glad I know you.
Oh, you're our Derry. Do you have hat goals? Like, what's on the horizon for you? What are you eyeballing for your next piece of the collection? This is an Aaron. This is an Aaron question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Hat goals.
I don't know. I mean, I've scoped out a couple. There was this brand, I forgot what it was. I found it in Collingwood. It was very small. It was kind of the hats were patched together with other pieces of material, but still kind of in this style, which I really thought was cool. So I'm eyeballing. I know where the company is. I couldn't remember what they were called. I just want things that kind of stand out to me. I
Yeah.
never know. Like I said earlier, I never know what I'm looking for. There's one back there. It's a Gordon Brothers
Nice.
hat. I've had a
Nice.
couple of those hats. I love that brand.
Those
and
diagonal, the both with the
No.
diagonal. Thank you. Thank you for going. Nice camo, Matt.
Thank you. Couldn't see me at all, could you?
Very
So,
cool.
Right. It's everyone's seen these
That's
lines.
right.
There's a whole line. There's always an animal and a random word. I used to have a crocodile one that said snap. There's one that's a white one that says a seagull and it says beach bum. I really want. So I like their line. They make me laugh.
Yeah.
And then I'll just look for other unique ones that anywhere I go, I glance.
Yeah.
I'm always, and if I see something that catches my eye, I draw into it. But I'm also very picky.
Right. You're an aficionado.
No, I'm just picky. Surprisingly, and Joey nailed it. When Joey gave me the hat that he brought when you guys came up from Breckenridge, I loved it. I wore that thing like it's on the wall now, and I still wear it.
I can't remember what he got you.
It's
Come on, Matt. One more hat, please. Please, will you show me one more?
Yeah. So that's the Breckenridge one.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely love it. I wore that for like a month straight when he brought it.
Yeah.
So
that's like
there was none of that. Oh yeah, thanks for the cool gift. No, it was amazing. I loved it.
He nailed it. Yep. It's got a place on the wall. That's huge. Aaron's final question and statement. Thank you for always welcoming new DGen members. Your enthusiasm and excitement means a lot to newbies. Yuppies. Are they yuppies?
Yuppies.
What are your Fridays like after the Love Fest? That is the podcast, and sometimes after parties.
What are my Friday? Oh, like the next day?
Yeah, next day.
I mean, just a regular Friday. I don't know. I bounce back really quick. I mean, I don't stay up super late on these things.
Right. No, you don't.
And first off, I think it's hilarious to me that Erin's excited about my enthusiasm when she is a beacon of fucking positivity in this world.
Right.
So thank you for being you, Erin.
God, so lucky. She's one of us.
Yeah, my Friday. I don't know how to really don't know how to answer that. If Fridays are just a Friday, I get up, I go to work. Sometimes I'm hurting a bit, but I work from home, so fuck it. Grab a couple Tylenol and move on.
Fuck it. So this is sort of an adjacent question to that, what you just said about working from home. Jack asks, would you ever design your own hats?
I just saw that pop up too. I think that'd be fun. I don't know where I'd begin though, to be honest. That would be fun. I've never really considered it. I don't know if they just be kind of stupid sayings. Probably not. They probably
Maybe
have a couple.
That's why you go down to Australia. Maybe you have a business meeting.
Jack, you got me fucking thinking now. It's definitely crossed my mind before. There's definitely elements of hats that I like. Like I said, I like color. I like some of like the materials that some hats use in different clever ways.
Yeah.
But I like good old trucker hats too. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it some thought. Dude North Apparel.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh. Okay. All right. My question for Matt. This is from Jason Eichard. Do you know what a Massachusetts Slurpee is?
Oh God.
If not, he needs to Google it and then explain it in his own words. I haven't looked this up. So
I shouldn't use. I feel like I should use my.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
I can do it on my phone. Hold on here. I'm nervous because
I know I am too, but I think he did this on purpose, so I'm going to go with it because we love Jason.
Of course, something like this is coming from him.
Oh no! Why, Jason? Oh, Jason.
Hold on, I'm trying to reread this so I understand it. It's like what's that procedure? Oh my God, the women get pregnant from the doctor. What's that called? What, I'm totally blanking.
Artificial insemination.
Yeah. Well, what's the other word, like the acronym for it or something? It's like that, but without the doctor.
IVF, in vitro fertilization.
Yeah, in vitro. It's like in vitro, but if you didn't have a doctor or a doctor's office and you only had a barn, and you went and had McDonald's. Does that check out?
Oh no. Yes. Dennis.
Does that check out?
The Dennis Suter asks which of the regular co-hosts would win a Royal Rumble. Which of the regular TPS hosts or co-hosts would win a Royal Rumble?
Oh, this includes like everyone.
I guess. Yes. TPS hosts / co-hosts.
I mean, if you're talking about just the four of us, I don't know. I would like to think me, but I don't know. I don't got a lot of weight behind me, so I might no.
What's a Royal Rumble?
A battle royale. We all in a ring together and wrestle. But if we're including everyone, it's obviously Dennis. Unless he's been blowing smoke to us for all these years.
Right. And he's like a stick.
Yeah. It's possible that Dennis Guggen has been. I don't know. It's got to be him.
I don't know. Yeah, right.
Or Trolley.
Oh, Trolley. Yeah, Trolley. You got it. He's like our dark horse, right?
Yeah, we don't know. There's more to that story.
Well, I just want to, before we wrap up, see if there are any more questions in the live stream. Do you have the live stream up, Matt? Because I haven't.
I had it up and then it went away. Hold on.
Al, if you're listening and there are any live stream questions for Matt, post now. He's been monitoring it. He's on it. I don't think there are any questions. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share? I have no more questions. Is there any story that you were hoping to share tonight that I didn't ask you a question about? I feel like you and I could go on for another couple hours talking
easily,
but I don't want to take up Al's entire
was there any last questions pressing your mind on anything?
Turning the question back on the question asker. I like this technique from an interviewing aspect. Put that one in your pocket.
Yeah, I used to do this as a leader when I joined a team, and I didn't know most of the answers because I realized that my team knew way more than me. What I learned really quick is you can usually get to the right answer just by asking questions back. And the person you're talking to normally knows the answer already. They just haven't gotten there yet, or their confidence in there. So that's how you help them get there. What was your favorite? Al just had one. I went away. I got halfway through reading it. What was our favorite interview? Oh, that we've done, Matt.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That was a good one.
I mean, out of the gate, Patrick was a special one because he was first. And he was really cool and sort of set the stage. We had a really good time with him. I think one of the ones I felt most comfortable with, Tyler Johnson and Ryan O'Donnell. I really liked talking to those guys. They were very natural, very easy. Favorite McHenry was a great one.
Oh god,
McCooey I thought was really interesting. When I really enjoyed his. I thought he was wasn't what I expected at all.
Yeah.
And I really liked his stories and his talking about how he found his role and counting polls on the way up to Sudbury. Just all the ones that kind of felt more conversational. Because we've definitely done a few where it's like, okay, sit down, hear your questions, boom, 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 boom. Thanks for coming out. And they're fun. They're great.
Yeah.
But ones that, I mean, like what we're doing here, we're having a conversation. It's a two-way streak are always the best ones. Because just like many have said about the show, it's like hanging out with your friends. And of course, if I'm going to hang out with my friends, we're going to have some wicked conversation and we're going to laugh.
Right.
What happened?
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. or we're gonna get sentimental. We're gonna do something. There's gonna be emotion in some capacity behind it. So, yeah. I mean, those are. I wouldn't say I have a specific favorite, but those are some of the ones that stand out.
Oh, Chad, I forgot. Chad said, "You know what to say," which is here. It is. Fuck you, Matt. But he also wants to know, who is your favorite DGen and why is it Chad?
Well, Chad, I mean, it's hard. He's Chad. He's a big football fan, right? Soccer. I don't like soccer though.
You don't like the sports ball?
No, go sports. So why is it Chad? Why is it Chad? He's an OG, man. You know, we can always rely on Chad to be there. I know what he means when he says "fuck you." He's deep down hate for me. It's okay. It's okay. And I accept that. I can take that burden from you, Chad. I'm okay. I've got a thick skin. And that's why, you know, if I need to be his venting post, I'm in. I got your back, buddy. So that's why it's Chad.
That's a solid answer.
Damn. Love you, Chad.
Damn. That gave me tingles. So who in Letterkenny do you think you could advise the best? Like, who would you want to mentor in Letterkenny?
Who would I want to mentor?
Yeah.
So
you would be like mentoring this person. Like, you would be like their Wayne. Yeah. You know?
Oh man. That's a fucking good question. I don't know what I'd bring to the table in a lot of those ones.
It's an excellent question.
Right. It is an excellent one. And then like, because a lot of them don't need mentoring, probably could use some, but don't need it and or don't want it. So there's also that receptive. Are they going to be open to it? So I mean, I think about it, I'm like, am I actually going to have success? Like, I mean, obviously Stuart, I think, is a big one. I love him, but he needs some guidance sometimes. So not that mine's much better than probably what he's putting out, but maybe Stuart. I feel like McHenry and Alexander. I'd love to take him on it. He's genuine in the show, and there's more of him to give, and I think I'd love to have him around. So maybe Alexander.
Alexander, I like that. That's a good answer. No, I don't have any more pressing questions for us. I'm just really glad to have been able to have this conversation with you. I really appreciated meeting you in person and connecting. And then as we've gotten to learn more about each other, I want to talk more just in general about voice work. And if you have any questions or if you want to have some voice work, you know, we can talk about that, because I think me getting back into my voice work and re-entering that field again, and us meeting around this and at the same time, like, things happen. Things just happen. And I feel like Al and you and this philosophy of all of us just asking the question and saying yes to opportunities, that's where the magic is.
Absolutely.
I think because everybody's been so willing and vulnerable and just willing to say yes and ask questions. No, I think that's what makes everybody unique.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And, you know, if I could say a few things at the end as well, like, I mean, thank you, Kacey, for doing this. I mean, you've come to this community and you came in such a fantastic way and brought so much to the table. Absolutely, meeting you and the others in Toronto was a highlight of the year last year. It's just, I love where this is going. I love the people around it. I love that you guys have all also understood that it was not a bluff in any way when we said this is everyone's show and we want you all to be part, because you guys have all just said, all right, we're doing this now. And we're like, okay. I love that. That's one of my absolute favorite things about this. And, you know, every time I've said on the show, it's 100% genuine. Because I love what everyone's bringing to the table and what we're continuing to do. So thank you to you and everyone around it for making this so much fun and continuing to support us and love us and be a part of this group. So forever grateful in that. And then of course to my fellow DGens on the podcast, the OGs here with Tanya, Al, and Victor. It's unbelievable. And of course, I mean, it's no surprise I think we're all most grateful to Al and everything he's done for the show, and his ideas and his creative vision and his openness to everything. Yeah, I know he's just as surprised by a lot of what's happened around this, but none of this would be here without him. And we are very thankful to them. And of course, my other co-host, love him to death. And I hope we keep finding ways to do this for as long as we can, even if it evolves into something different. It's just, at the end of the day, to me, this is a wicked, unique way to stay connected with people. And whether it's 1, 2, 500, I don't care. People, we're staying connected with people in a world where surprisingly connection is harder to find.
Like authentic, real connection.
Yeah. So this has opened up a new channel that, at least for myself, didn't know existed. So I'm very fortunate to have been to be a part of it.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said it better myself. Thank you for taking the time out. Thank you to Al for making the space for us to do this and being the producer of tonight. Al has been on the board, and he's going to play us out tonight with this beautiful song. It's Compression by The Hunches.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
What comes out sound too much weight.
It's actually Pugs Plugged In by Brendan
Cannon. Sorry, I was reading at the top of the soundboard. My bad.
One job, Al. One job, Al.
Oh, that's okay. Well, that is it for us for now. I want to remind everybody to get some coffee from our sponsor, Diabolical Coffee, right now. You can get 20% off using the code ProduceStandPod. Follow us at ProduceStandPod on all social platforms. Join the Discord, all of that good stuff. Now it's time for us to say goodnight and head to the after party on behalf of Squirrely Matt, Al on the board, and myself. Have a great night. Thanks for listening, and pitter patter.
Please come.